Guitar pedals. I love them. You love them. But do we know how to use them? Let's talk about it. How's it going, guys? Welcome to another episode of Tone Clips. My name is Blake Hall. If you're into everything guitar, you came to the right place. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget the little bell icon next to it so you don't miss the next video. Now today, we're going to talk about compression and how you can use it in your electric guitar rig. Now, I'm gonna tell you a little secret. I had been playing guitar for almost 20 years before I even discovered compression and all the different ways that I like to use it. When I discovered this pedal, that is when I discovered all the different ways that I like to use compression, and one of the biggest reasons is because it has a blend knob, and I'm talking about the Ego compressor by Wampler. This is not meant to be a pedal demo, although we are gonna go through the Ego quite a bit here. One of the main reasons why I liked it is because it just felt natural. It didn't feel like it was just clobbering my guitar signal and changing it completely. It gave me plenty of control, and it felt very natural when I started messing with the knobs. If you're new to compression, I would definitely recommend checking out the Ego by Wampler or any compressor that has a blend knob. I like the fact that this particular compressor has sustain, tone, and attack as well. Those are not parameters that you can change on every compressor out there. Now let's go ahead and plug this thing in, and then we'll dive into some sounds and talk about it a little bit more. A lot of people ask, where should I put my compressor in my chain of my pedals? I personally like to have it in the front. It kind of depends on how you want to use it. I'm just gonna show you how it affects your drive section for the most part. I will say this as a general rule of thumb. I put my time-based effects like delay, reverb, and any kind of modulation after my drive section. So I'm pretty much gonna be talking about where to put your compressor in relation to your drive pedals. Alright, I'm going to be using my Vinciguerra Custom Shop VS, going out of the guitar into the compressor first, and for today, we're going to be using the Revv G2 as our overdrive. For the first example, we're going to be going into the compressor, into the G2, then I got a little bit of reverb from a TC Hall of Fame, and then we're going into the front of my Revv D20, just going straight out the back using the built-in IR from 2 notes and going straight into the software. Alright, so here's what it sounds like with the guitar and the little bit of reverb. Now let's see what it sounds like with this compressor on. So I have that compression dialed a little bit more drastic than I would normally use it, but let me go through the way that I dialed it in, okay? So first I wanted to dial in the volume of the compression because it can also push the amp into more drive and also more compression just by seeing more signal to the amp. So we're gonna try not to do that. We're gonna try to keep it about the same volume. So that's why I have the volume right there where I have it. As far as the blend knob goes, I have it pushed up a little bit more just so you can really hear this thing working. Let's just see what it sounds like dialing it back a little bit. This is probably a little bit closer to where I would normally have it. might even leave the blend knob right there. On this particular pedal, I really like pushing that sustain quite a bit because it does exactly what you want it to and doesn't do much else. It just kind of does what you want it to, you know? So let's check out this sustain knob a little bit. Very natural sounding. I will say that it feels a little bit more like a compressor the more you turn that sustain up. Once you get past about 1 o'clock, it really starts to take off, and you can almost hear it get louder as you hold a note. I like to stay away from that a little bit. I like to keep it feeling natural, but giving me plenty a bit more sustain and making the notes a little more even. That's the whole point of a compressor, is normally for sustain and making everything a little bit more even. Another thing that it will do, it will start to smooth out the actual clipping of your overdrive, especially if the compressor is after your overdrive. We'll get into that in just a minute. This particular compressor also adds a little bit of low end, which I use it to my advantage. I dial out a lot of the low end the more gain that I add. So sometimes when I go into a heavier sound, I like a little bit thicker sound. So Again, I'll show you that when we turn on the overdrive pedal, but that's one reason why I really like having the tone knob here too. Let's check that out. You'll probably notice that the tone knob is pretty subtle, but it is very pleasing. The attack knob, both of those together really make a big difference for me, because I feel like a lot of compressors will make your overall sound much darker. This particular pedal, I can manipulate that a little bit and keep the pick attack. Let's dial the attack back a little bit, and then you can hear what a big advantage it is to be able to turn that up. So when I hear people say that they don't like using compressors because they want to have dynamics, I understand that to some degree, but if you'll notice, just in that last little piece that I was playing, there was quite a bit of difference in energy and perceived volume. So in other words, if you're kind of scared about losing dynamics, remember this: you have fingers and you have a pick. If you go between them, if you learn to use your fingers in a picking style and then switch to a pick quickly, you can make a big difference on your dynamics, and maybe we'll do a video on that. Let me know in the comments below if that's something y'all want to see. All right, let's see how the compressor reacts with this overdrive. So the compressor do the things that we expected, like give you more sustain and make things a little bit more even. So another thing that you can do with your compressor in front of the overdrive is you can push that overdrive into more overdrive. And the way we do this is that we push the volume on the compressor a little bit, and it doesn't necessarily give you a whole lot more volume because you're going into another gain stage. When you push that signal a little bit louder, it gives it a little bit more compression and a little bit more gain. Watch this. I'm gonna go to my bridge humbucker for this. Let's listen to just the overdrive. I really like that. One thing that we're getting out of our compressor right now, because it's in front of the G2, is we're actually getting more out of the G2. All right, let's see what all sounds we have just with the current setup right now. Now that is a wide range of guitar sounds with just one overdrive. Now because we added a compressor to the mix and we've used different stacking methods, with this current setup, you have a ton of sounds at your fingertips. Now, another great way to use a compressor is after your overdrives. Let's see how that works. Alright, so what we've done now is we've just changed the order of the two pedals. I didn't change any of the settings on the G2 or the settings on the Ego compressor. I just want to show you how, with those same settings, everything reacts with each other. Because like I said, if anything, this video is to help you figure out how you would maybe want to use a compressor and give you some ideas, maybe demystify this whole order of your pedals and these hard and fast rules. There aren't many rules. In fact, just try stuff. That's what I did, and I've learned a lot in the process of just trying a bunch of different things. So here's my sound again with the pedals off. let's start with the G2 on first, and then I will toggle on the ego to show you what that same volume, how it reacts with the overdrive in front of it. So there was a much bigger jump in actual volume this time when we kicked on the compressor, and the reason why that's happening, because it's compressing the signal that's going into it, and then after that it will actually boost the overall signal. Whereas before, when we had that extra signal coming into the overdrive doesn't have a ton of headroom where it can just get louder. If you're going into another gain structure, then it's probably going to compress a little bit more and add some more gain. Just as if we had a lot of gain on the amp dialed up, then it would do the same thing. Very interesting. It's a lot of fun, guys. Dive into your pedals and just play with the different orders. I encourage you to just sit down with what you have and then see what all the possibilities are before you go looking for that next overdrive, because you might actually have that next gain stage already on your board, or maybe you really are maybe needing some compression in your life. Well, I hope I could help you answer some questions and kind of demystify this whole idea of compression with electric guitar. I also have plenty of thoughts on having compression in an acoustic rig. If y'all would like to see that, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to sit down and talk some acoustic guitar with y'all and maybe tell y'all how I use compression in my acoustic rig. It's an extremely useful tool across the board when it comes from bass, guitar, electric guitar, acoustic guitar. It's just a beautiful thing, and if you understand it, then there will be a lot less of you that will shy away from it. Well, if y'all have any more questions about anything that we talked about today, please leave it in the comments below. I'll be glad to answer every single question that you have. If you want to know more about the Wampler pedals, I'll leave you a link to their website along with the Revv Amplification website in the description below. You'll also be able to find a link to my website, blakehallmusic.com. I would love for y'all to go check that out. There's all kinds of stuff on there. My original music is on there. Links to the Tone Clip merch store, my own Blake Hall merch store, is also on there. Everything that you buy in those stores helps keep this channel alive, and if you want to see more content like this, the best way to support is to go ahead and give this video a like, share it, comment, buy yourself some of the merch, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that little bell icon right next to the subscribe button so you don't miss the next video. And I will see you in that next video. Peace.